And welcome back to Atreyu News. The number one item people buy with food stamps. Vegetables? I think not. The number one item people buy with food stamps are soft drinks. I thought it was going to be like marijuana or something. From lmbwest.com, the pages of the New York Times are just about the last place you'd expect to find a story about food stamp waste and abuse. But even they couldn't deny the facts. They could ignore them for 2 months, however, finally reporting on a U.S. Department of Agriculture study on food stamps, now known as SNAP. Usage published back in mid-November. So what's the number one item that food stamp dollars are going to? Anyone with stock in Coca-Cola and Pepsi will be pleased, as the answer is simple: one heck of a lot of soda. United States Department of Agriculture, which oversees the $74 billion food stamp program called SNAP. Now we understand why they have Democratic voters from now until the end of time. $74 billion. It's a weird thing too, I noticed. When you give someone something that they didn't work for and don't necessarily deserve, they may actually resent you for it. And not only that, they don't appreciate it either. So it's a lose-lose for people that get things they don't deserve. A program called SNAP has published a detailed report that provides a glimpse into the shopping cart of the typical household that receives food stamps. The findings show that number one purchase by SNAP households are soft drinks, which accounted for 5% of the dollars they spent on food. The category of sweetened beverages, which includes fruit juices, energy drinks, and sweetened teas, accounted for almost 10% of the dollars they spent on food. In this case, SNAP is a multi-billion-dollar taxpayer subsidy of the soda industry, said Marion Nestle, a professor of nutrition, food studies, and public health at New York University. It's pretty shocking. And it is, actually. To live an unhealthy lifestyle on the back of taxpayers. And then when their organs fail, the taxpayers have to bail them out because they don't have any money to pay for their own stupidity. So it's a fascinating turn of events. It's almost like smoking cigarettes. I mean, you do what you want, whatever. It's just that I have a few friends who have major physical problems, and they refuse to quit smoking. They'll go to the doctor over and over and over and over and over again, when it might actually be from sucking poison sticks. So, strange. For people to destroy themselves deliberately is difficult to watch. For years, dozens of cities, states, and medical groups have urged changes to SNAP, or the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, to help improve nutrition among the 45 million poorest Americans who receive food stamps. Specifically, they have called for restrictions so that food stamps cannot be used to buy junk food or sugary soft drinks. Well, part of this I kind of understand how it happened. With the deindustrialization of the West, it makes sense that more people would go on food stamps. However, with jobs coming back into America, at some point, it's going to be hard to push the argument that there's no work. At least that's what I'm hoping for. If there's a job, you're going to do it. Laura Ingraham just called out the deep state. Political commentator and radio host Laura Ingraham called out the deep state after the former DNI director attacked Trump. Deep state has put a political target on the back of Donald Trump. They have gotten used to running the show. Yeah, they've been running the show for what? Since after the Second World War. So it's no wonder they have such a hard time letting go of power. They've had it for more than 50 years.
I think in many ways our institutions are under assault, both externally, and that's the big news here, is the Russian interference in our election system. And I think as well our institutions are under assault internally.
Internally from the president?
Exactly.
because he's firing the checks and balances.
Well, I think, the founding fathers, in their genius, created a system of three co-equal branches of government and a built-in system of checks and balances. And I feel as though that's under assault and is eroding.
So again with the Russia thing, this guy has the audacity to bring up Russia and the forefathers in the same paragraph, even though him and people like him are trying to erode and destroy the Constitution. So, double-edged sword, they're playing double agent here. On one hand, they would praise the forefathers, focus on the Americans' ignorance to it, and then on the other hand, they would go to destroy what our forefathers have achieved. So, evil. Future patriots. Look what the grads were wearing during their commencement speech with the President of the United States. Now that's a crowd. On Saturday, President Trump delivered the keynote speech at Liberty University to a massive crowd of supporters. Liberty University students were proud to show their support for our 45th president. As expected, students arrived in their cap and gowns. However, many arrive sporting an extra something special, their MAGA hats. No snowflakes melting in this badass crowd. You could see a few people in the audience don't look impressed. There's something about Trump supporters though. As we've seen with the Antifa, the men have estrogen and the women have testosterone. It's like they switch sexes, so they're like a group of undesirables. But when you look at Trump supporters, genuine Trump supporters, there's a fire that burns in their eyes. You can see it in their face, that they're red-blooded Americans through and through, and they love the country. They may or may not love God, but it's very awesome to talk to other Trump supporters because they have the fire that burns in their eyes. Trailblazers, people that the country was built upon.